Hello and welcome to your sixth summer pre-algebra class. I am Mr. Marquez, your favorite summer school math teacher, and today we're actually going to talk about multiplying and dividing integers. So in our last video we talked about subtracting integers and how we explained that subtracting integers was basically adding the opposite, and the video before that we talked about adding integers, which was pretty much whenever you have a positive number plus a negative number you subtract. But the rules for multiplying and dividing integers are very different from the rules that we use to add or subtract integers. So what we're going to do is we're going to see two examples. Then at the end of this video, I'm going to direct you to the problems that you're going to be working on. So let's get started, all right? So multiplying integers. One of the things that we need to understand is that whenever we're multiplying integers, we're going to be multiplying positive numbers times negative numbers, or negative numbers times negative numbers, or positive numbers times positive numbers. Now, here's the first problem. What do we do when we have negative 3 times negative 12? So how do we multiply two negative numbers? Well, we're going to multiply them the same way you multiplied all throughout your elementary school or, your other math courses. But the difference is that we're going to apply this rule. So whenever you're multiplying a negative number times a negative number, your answer is actually going to be positive. So if you're multiplying negative 3 times negative 12, your answer is just going to be positive 36. Which brings us to the first rule for multiplying integers. And that is that whenever you multiply two negative numbers, your answer will always be positive. But what do we do when we have the second situation? You have negative 7 times 9. So how do I multiply a negative number times a positive number? Well, you're going to do the same. You're going to multiply the same way we multiplied it before. 7 times 9 equals 63. The difference is that if I have a negative number times a positive number, my answer is going to be negative. So your answer is actually going to be negative 63. Now, it doesn't matter if 9 is larger than 7 or whatever. It doesn't matter. As long as you have a negative number multiplied by a positive number, your answer will always be a negative integer. And the last rule, or the last situation, says negative 24 times 0. So what do we do here? Well, one of the things about working with 0 is that it doesn't matter if the number is positive or negative. Any number multiplied by 0 will equal 0. So negative 24 times 0 is actually going to be 0. Now, these are the rules for multiplying integers. But what about dividing them? What do I do when I'm dividing? And a lot of people get scared when we have to deal with division. But good news for you is that the same rules that apply for multiplying integers are actually the same rules that apply for dividing integers. So this is what I mean. If I look at the first problem, it says negative 48 divided by negative 6. Now, in our previous example, we said that whenever you multiply two negative numbers, your answer is positive. Well, the same is true for division, which means that when I divide a negative number by another negative number, my answer is going to be positive. So negative 48 divided by negative 6 is actually going to be positive 8. And what do we do when we have a negative number divided by a positive number? Well, in our previous example, when we multiplied a negative number times a positive number, our answer was a negative number or a negative integer. The same is true here. So positive 56 divided by negative 8 is actually going to be negative 7, because whenever you have a positive number or a positive integer divided by a negative integer, your answer is negative. So it's going to be negative 7. So again, positive 56 divided by negative 8 is going to be negative 7, because when you have a positive number divided by a negative number, your answer is negative. And the last rule, so 0 divided by 9. Well, this rule doesn't matter if the number is positive or negative, just like with multiplication. Any number multiplied or divided by 0, regardless of if it's positive or negative, is going to equal 0. So this last answer is going to be 0. So as you can see, multiplying and dividing integers is really simple. The rules are the same. Just to summarize it or sum out real quick, whenever you multiply or divide two negative numbers, your answer is positive. Whenever you multiply or divide a negative number by a positive number, your answer is negative. And whenever you multiply or divide any number by 0, your answer is going to be 0. So if you have any questions, you can always pause and rewind this video. You know where to find me as well. And after watching this, you're going to go to page 44 of the textbook that was provided to you guys, and you're going to answer problems 3 through 10. So stay safe, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.